Hello and welcome to this Edexcel GCSE Geography Walking Talking Mock on ecosystems. The aim of these videos is to help improve your confidence in reading and interpreting the exam so you can give a better chance of success in your exam. So what I'd like you to do please is just pause on the next screen and read how to use this video correctly and to the best of your ability. So question 7 is the final question in paper 1 and it's based on ecosystems, biodiversity and management. It's very important as always to read all of the information within the booklet, and especially here as there are 4 extra marks available on the assessed question for spelling, punctuation and grammar and the use of specialist terminology, so get your key terms in there. So biodiversity is influenced by the interrelationship and interaction of biotic and abiotic factors. Define the term abiotic. Now this is only 1 mark. It's not quite as basic as a state or identify. You have to give a definition. What does abiotic mean? Okay, so you've got biotic and abiotic factors. What are the abiotic factors? You don't need to give examples, just say what abiotic means. Okay? Have a go. Now we're going to move on to the next question. Study figure A below. Complete the line graph in figure A using data from the table below. Now this is a common error where people look at this and they don't see any lines for writing and they move straight on. Okay, they think that this is just a resource they need to refer to, but that would be a big mistake. So what we need to do here is complete the line graph. So the first thing you'd need to do is to plot the data. So the tropical rainforests, we would need to plot between 0 and 900. So here we have the sea level. The tropical rainforests start at 0 and go up to 900 here. The temperate forests then go from 900 to 1800. So we'd go from 1 dot here to another dot here. However, it's worth 3 marks. So think how you're going to get your 3 marks on this. Well, not only do you need to plot the data, but you need to complete the line graph. Therefore, make sure you draw the lines between 0 and 900, between 900 and 1800, and between 1800 and about 3700. Okay, so checking your answers for those simple ones. Abiotic refers to the non-living components. It's as simple as that, just saying the non-living elements. And here you can see that for the line graph, although it's not very clear on here, you would need to make sure that your dots, your points, go on exactly the lines. This is just the PDF gone wrong. So you can see how you get the marks. 2 marks for plotting the dots and then a mark for joining up the lines. So this question refers back to figure A that you've just completed. With reference to the line graph in figure A, explain how changes in altitude affect the distribution of ecosystems. So first of all, with reference to the line graph, you've got to give evidence and information from figure A. You need to be quoting some of the different ecosystems and the different heights at which they appear. Altitude is another term for height. But then the command word is explain. So you've got to say how the altitude will affect the distribution of ecosystems. So you're going to have to say what or how does altitude affect the conditions for those different ecosystems. It's 4 marks, so you're likely to get marks for giving information from the line graph, and then marks for stating the changes, and then marks for explaining these changes as well. So you might say that at lower levels where the climate is warmer, then you're more likely to find this type of ecosystem because of this. So 4 minutes for 4 marks, off you go. So when we look at the mark scheme, we can see it's pretty much as I said. You get a 1 mark for interpretation of the line graph and then a further mark for the distribution of the ecosystems, up to a maximum of 2. So for example, tundra, which is the frozen areas, can only exist above 4,000 meters. This is reference to figure A, because other trees, so because there is your explain connective, because other trees cannot grow in the thin soil at the top of a mountain. Okay, so you can see how they're linking evidence from the type of ecosystem to the altitude, and then the reasons why that is the case. And you'd want to give perhaps a couple of different points just to make sure you get those full 4 marks. So moving on, moorland is one of the UK's main terrestrial ecosystems. State 2 other UK terrestrial ecosystems. As the command word is state, you just need to give the name of them. You don't need to give reasons or descriptions of them, but you've got to give 2 different UK terrestrial ecosystems. UK, obviously, make sure they're in the UK. You can't give tropical rainforest, and terrestrial means on land, and you will get 1 mark for each. So have a go at that now. Now the next 2 questions relate to figure 10 in the resource booklet, which shows an area of moorland in the UK. Now here we're going to have to use our geographical map skills, so it's important that you know how to read and give 4 and 6 figure grid references and things like scale, and be able to read a key. So we've got to look at what is the feature at 075887. So we have a look at the map here, and we remember we go along the corridor. The first 3 figures, 075, relate to the eastings, the number along the bottom. So we go to grid line 07, and then it's 5. So 075 would be halfway here. Then we use the northings going up the side to 887. So we find the line for 8 here, and then 7 would be about 3/4 of the way up. And we can see here that we've got a little bit of writing here, which would be Mermaid's Pool on this one. The other question relates to direction. Give the direction from the farm in 1189 to the nature reserve in 0887. So here you'd need to have a look at what the symbols are for these, and then be able to find them within these grid squares. So if we have a look in 11, so we go along to 11, we go up to 89, and then we're looking for a farm here. Now when you look in here, you can't actually see anything that says farm, but there is a little building here, and the name for it is here, Upper House Farm. And then it says go 0887. So 08 along the bottom is here, 87 is here. So we're looking for the nature reserve, which we can see by this little ducky symbol here. So what you're looking to give is the direction from here. If you were going to go from here to here, what direction would you be traveling? Remembering that this direction here is north. So here is the south of the map, here is the north of the map. So have a go at those questions now. So when we look at the answers here, you can see very simply 2 other UK terrestrial ecosystems. You could have had either heathlands, woodland or wetland. You can't have anything else because these are the ones specifically mentioned within the specification. For the 6-figure grid reference, it was Mermaid's Pool or a lake or a tarn, and the direction was southwest. So the next question, state 2 goods or services provided by tropical rainforest. So here stating again, simple basic answers. You've got to give 2 of them, 2 separate ones marked by 1 and 2. Goods or services. Goods are things that you can hold, that you can use, and services are just ways that you could enjoy the ecosystem. And you've got to make sure it's for tropical rainforest. So 2 marks, 2 basic answers, off you go. And so here you can see, really simple, you could get things such as foodstuffs or specific examples of food, nuts, berries, seeds, medicines, timber, wood, or recreation or cultural value like tree hugging if you're a weirdo like me. So the next question is, explain 2 ways in which plants have adapted to living in a tropical rainforest. Again, the command word is explain. So you've got to extend, give reasons for your answers using words because, this means that, because this leads to, etc. You've got to give 2 different ways marked here in which plants, so we've got to talk about plants, not animals, and have adapted to living in tropical rainforest. So we don't want to be talking about anything to do with deciduous. It's got to relate to tropical rainforest. It's worth 4 marks, so you're looking at 2 marks for each of these. You're going to state an adaptation and then explain the reason why it helps. So for example, they may have some trees grow as emergence because, and say why they've done that. So 4 marks, 4 minutes, pause it now, have a go. So as you can see from the mark scheme, you get 1 mark for the adaptation and 1 mark for the explanation of it. So drip tips to remove excess water, buttress roots to stabilize the trees, waxy leaves. And so you can see how simple these were, but you would need 2 of these and 2 separate ones to make sure you get the 4 marks on this. Next question, study figure 11 in the resource booklet. So before we read the question, let's have a look at the resource booklet and what can we see? Well, we've got 2 nutrient cycle models. We've got one for temperate deciduous forests and we can see a tropical rainforest. And the main differences that we can see, well, these are proportional circles. So in the tropical rainforest, the B for biomass is much bigger than it is in the temperate forests, but in both of them, the biomass is the largest store. In temperate deciduous forests, soil and litter are bigger than in the tropical rainforest, but the soil is still bigger than the litter, but smaller than the biomass. We can also see the different arrows and the size of these arrows as well. So this would be weathering, so the nutrients from the weathering, but the leaching from the soil here. Okay, this could be the litter, could be the rainfall, the precipitation, and the information that comes in from that as well. So there we have the different factors of the nutrient cycle. So here it's saying, explain why there are differences in these nutrient cycles. It's worth 4 marks. So you've got to try and really develop your answers, giving reasons and giving your connectives. This means that because of, this is caused by. So you've got to look at what are the main differences in these nutrient cycles. So if we look at it, we could say, well, why is the biomass so much larger in the tropical rainforest? Why is leaching so much more in the tropical rainforest? And we have to link that to the information that we know about it. So you're going to get marks for saying what the differences are, and then you're also going to need to explain why those differences are there. So why is so much of the nutrients held within the biomass or the leaves at the top of the trees in the rainforest? And maybe you could link that to the different climate types and things like that. Again, worth 4 marks, about 4 minutes, so have a go now. So you've had a go at that. Let's have a look at the mark scheme then. So you get 1 mark for the identification of a difference and a further mark for the explanation. So it might be about the biomass, but notice here with the point marking that they've done, you could just mention 1 difference, but by explaining it in greater detail, using more connectives, you can get more marks. So for example, the biomass bigger in the TRF as more nutrients are held there because there are more available nutrients overall because there is photosynthesis. It might be related to the climate. You might say that because of the high levels of sunlight and rainfall, there is greater primary productivity, so a greater biomass. So that's the end for this bit. We'll look at the longer question in the next video, but I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. Bye.